Hey guys, it's Fitz from Primal WoW, and today we'll be breaking down the healer specs. Full disclosure, I've played a Resto Shaman and a Healing Druid, both Dream State and Full Resto in raids, but I haven't played a Priest or a Holy Paladin on this server at least. This will also be a PvE breakdown. Honestly, trying to rank healers 1 through 4 has been very difficult. The healer specs all provide excellent support in addition to healing, and that's kind of difficult to quantify. I've wanted to do this video for a few weeks, so I've been talking to the experienced primal healers in my guild and in some other guilds, gathering their thoughts, seeing what their opinions are, and there's a lot of different opinions on which healer is best. However, I will say that any successful raid will include a variety of healers, optimally all 4. So if you're worried about the viability of your healing spec, don't be. So healing on Primal Server is dominated by the healing debuffs, situationally between 50 and 67% overall reduction in output, and in some cases up to a 3 times mana cost multiplier in raids. So healers that have the most success here are ones that have spells and talents and such that can mitigate those extra healing costs. Therefore, I would put Dream State Druids, not Resto, as the top healer on the server. Dream State and Innervate provide excellent mana regen on top of Spirit-based regen that can be exploited by casting clustered heals. Rejuvenation is also a really strong spell for output despite a recent fix to how coefficients are calculated. And because of that, they provide some of the best healing output of all the classes at all gear levels. Druid buffs, Mark of the Wild and Thorns are not particularly strong compared to other healers, but they have other support, especially Battle Res, which can be raid saving. Curse debuff dispelling is also quite important on a lot of fights, and so stacking Druids is quite acceptable in raids. One other important thing about Druids is that their instant casts, quick casts, and hots make Druids really mobile compared to the other healers. And Druids also have probably the best crowd control of all the healers for current content. In second place, or maybe really in position 1B, are Shaman. So in Wrath of the Lich King, totems are mostly raid-wide and provide really good buffs to the raid. Manatide in particular is critical to a successful raid group, particularly really in supporting priests and paladins who have limited self-sufficiency. At low gear levels, Shaman are decent healers, but once they start to collect some gear, particularly int and mana per 5, and crit to a lesser extent, they really start to shine. And in a time when both the Paladin and the Druid Tier 1 set bonuses have been nerfed, Shaman's Tier 1 bonus has survived. So once they get full Tier 1, that's 8 pieces, they get some crazy mana efficiency, and it really takes a while for a well-geared Shaman to go out of mana. Shamans do have some downsides though, and that's mainly that with talents capped at 31 points, they don't get Earth Shield, and they don't have any instant cast heals outside of Nature's Swiftness cooldown, which I think is 2 or 3 minutes, so they are the least mobile of all the healers. Also, they don't have access to their talent that gives them spell power from Int. So the remaining 2 healers, Paladins and Priests, are also really hard to rank. They fall behind Druids and Shaman, particularly because in raids they require support to help with their mana, but there are circumstances where both of them can really shine. However, I'm going to put Paladins in the 3rd spot, largely because of their excellent support spells. Paladin Blessings are really strong and scale with gear. They also have excellent cooldowns like Bubbles, Lay on Hands, and their hand spells. Like Hand of Salvation in particular can really speed up certain fights where threat is limiting for warriors and warlocks. So while a paladin that might just try to out-heal everything may struggle in a dungeon, when they successfully use all their support spells, they can really excel. And all this I haven't even mentioned cleanse yet. Paladins make the best dispellers in vanilla environment where dispelling is often a necessary part of raiding. Cleanse can get magic, disease, and poison. Paladins do have some downside though. Most of their mana regen comes from MP5 gear, and so lower geared paladins are going to really struggle, and they only start pulling their weight once they have some int and mana per 5. Also, a lot of paladins try to prioritize for spell power, for which they scale probably the worst of all the healers, and if you're doing that at the expense of int and mana per 5, you're also going to struggle. Also, Judgment of Light is a great spell for healing kind of low-level AE damage to all the DPSers, but it only takes 1 paladin to bring that, so once you get past the first one, they start to reduce in effectiveness. So in last place are priests, and although I have them in the fourth spot here, please don't mistake that to mean that holy and disciplined priests aren't viable. They definitely are. Holy priests in particular truly excel in some fights and provide some good support to the raid. So first, the upsides. Priests have the widest variety of heals for all situations. They've got single target big heals, they've got shields, heals over time, group heals, quick heals. However, their only mana regen is passive from Spirit and MP5, and so they require some support in raids, and if they use a lot of these big heals, they're going to outpace their passive mana regen. They do provide really good buffs to the raid, stamina, big stamina buff, shadow resistance, fear ward, and the like. However, all you really need to do is bring one priest for those buffs, so they don't really stack as well as the other three healers. One other downside that might be important to some people if you care about healing meters is that a lot of their spells are not going to get credited on some healing meters, so particularly shields and also lightwells. So if that's really important to you, just realize that a lot of the healing meters really devalue priests. So that being said, Lightwell in the 3.3.5 build is really strong. It doesn't break on damage, and so priests will typically drop one right on top of the tank for boss fights, and it's a really good, efficient heal. Also, Prayer of Healing, which targets not just your group, but the group of the person you're targeting, is situationally very strong. For example, in the Veilstress fight where healing really matters. Also, because of their wide variety of heals, they're probably the best 5-man healer where they can drink more frequently. In terms of Holy versus Discipline, I think Holy clearly wins on output. However, Power Infusion will make yourself some serious friends from DPSers if you use it in raids. So thanks for watching. I hope this video helps, and let me know what you guys think are your rankings.